Hello, thanks for joining us on Nationwide. I'm Ruth Aguele. We'll begin with news from the power sector. A power project tagged Light Up Nigeria has been flagged off by Vice President Kashim Shettima in the southeast. Chika Ugo reports that the project, initiated by the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, is in line with the federal government initiative to enhance power generation, transmission and distribution in the country. We'll bring you full details in subsequent bulletin. The federal government is eager to render the necessary support to ensure the Azura power plant achieve its power generation capacity goal of 1,500 megawatts to boost contribution to the national grid. The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, made this pronouncement during his assessment tour of the Azura power plant in Benin. Obehi Otobe reports.
The minister and his high-powered entourage, which includes the heads of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, the Niger Delta Holding Company, and Benin Electricity Distribution Company, were given a tour of the facility by the Managing Director, Azura Power Plant, West Africa. Constructed in 2018, the plant currently has a total output of 459 megawatts, with plans to expand to 1,500 megawatts in the nearest future.
Our operational metrics are best in class, availability close to 100% at all times. So we are, and he saw what we are doing, trying to help stabilize the grid. Not just that we put power on the grid, but we also make sure that we stabilize the grid for other power plants to be able to feed to consumers.
The minister, who is clearly impressed with the privately owned power facility, said the federal government's plan to revamp the power sector will be in alignment with the Azura power plant model of operations due to its set standard.
I'm more than impressed with the model that they are running here. It's a private sector power plant, and I can tell you that of the 3 turbines installed here with a combined capacity of about 460 megawatts, all of them are working. They also have an expansion plan to even install additional 3 gas plants of equivalent capacity. If that happens here, that means the issue of shortage in power supply will be a thing of the past in Nigeria.
The minister also inspected the Hobo power plant and assures that President Tinubu has met the financial obligation to address the challenge of gas supply to all government-owned power plants in the country. In Benin, Obehi Otoba Presai, NTA News.
On the judiciary scene, judicial officers have again been urged to ensure justice in the matters put before them for adjudication. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, gave the advice while administering oath of office on the 11 justices now on the bench of the Supreme Court. Justice Ariwola charged them to be up and doing in the discharge of their judicial duties. The 11 new justices bring to 21 the justices on the bench of the Supreme Court, as stipulated by Section 230 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. A federal high court in Abuja division has reserved ruling on the bail application of the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. Presiding Judge Justice Binta Inyako gave the order at the commencement of terrorism trial following an order by the Supreme Court that the court should continue with the case after quashing the ruling of the Court of Appeal. Let's hear from Judiciary correspondent Austin Ayimbe.
The Court of Appeal in 2022 ruled against the extradition of the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, from Kenya by Nigerian government, saying the process violated international treaties. This decision was challenged by Nigerian government with the Supreme Court in December 2023, quashing the judgment of the Court of Appeal, directing the Federal High Court to continue with the matter as preferred against the defendant. At the resumed hearing Monday, counsel to the federal government, Adegboyega Awomolo, senior advocate of Nigeria, assured the court of the prosecution's readiness for trial, but counsel to Nnamdi Kanu, Aloy Ejimoko, pleaded to move an application for the defendant's bail and another on preliminary objection bordering on the legal weight between the Constitution and the provisions of Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015. These applications were argued with the defense saying the court should grant the defendant bail considering his health condition as he is suffering life-threatening health challenges of which medications are not available to him at the DSS facility. The ground he relies on Section 161 of the Constitution. But the prosecution opposed the application, saying the defense counsel has not provided the court with any cogent reason to warrant the bail of Nnamdi Kanu, more so that the defendant has once been granted bail but jumped it.
A little disappointment remains that the court could not do a bench ruling on the bail application today.
The prosecution counsel declined comments. Having listened to argument by parties, Justice Peter Nyako adjourned the case to 19th and 20th of March 2024 for ruling on a bail application and continuation of trial. She warned that she would not condone any act of delay, asking them to file the names of witnesses they intend to call in the case so that on the 19th and 20th, appreciable progress will be made in the case. From the Federal High Court, Abuja, Austin Ayimbe, NTA News.
Thank you, Austin. The defense headquarters says it is misleading an online media publication alleging that the Guards Brigade has been put on alert following unusual movements leading to suspicion of a coup plot in Nigeria. In a statement by the Director Defense Information, Brigadier General Tukuruguso, notes that the Guards Brigade has been statutorily assigned the responsibility of protecting the seat of power, that is the presidency, and by extension the Federal Capital Territory and its environs, adding that the Guards Brigade has always been on high alert in order to effectively execute its assigned task. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, in various fora, reiterated the unalloyed commitment of members of the armed forces of Nigeria to the protection and sustenance of democracy in Nigeria. Therefore, the Defense Headquarters strongly condemns this unsubstantiated assertion and enjoins members of the public to disregard it. The Defense Headquarters also urges relevant security agencies to take appropriate action against the medium for this unpatriotic action, while the Defense Headquarters seeks legal redress on the issue, which has the ulterior motive of creating unnecessary tension in the country. The parade ground, 12th Brigade Nigerian Army, Lokoja, Kogi State, was transformed into a social event center to host the West African social activities, that is Wasa. Brigade Commander Brigadier General Haruna Dasuki, explained that numerous military assignments had extended the 2023 event to this year. Let's hear from Jacob Sani.
The Nigerian Army plays a crucial role in ensuring national security and protecting Nigerians' territorial integrity. Military officers from across Africa recognized the importance of celebrating the diverse cultural heritage within army families and surrounding communities. This recognition led to establishment of the West Africa Social Activities, popularly known as Wasa, decades ago.
cultural heritage, Wasa gives us an opportunity to display the various traditional dances, cuisines, languages, dresses, amongst others, in order to showcase our diversities in a relaxed atmosphere.
The Kogi State government, Wasa, has successfully promoted unity among various ethnic groups and emphasized the need to sustain it.
We are not unaware of the fight by criminals and criminalities in Kogi. Let me reassure the citizens of Kogi State that my government is committed to ensure that the state is safe. We will continue to work in synergy with security agencies to ensure Kogi State is very safe for.
Outstanding performances were recognized with awards, encouraging cooperation among selected personnel and sister agencies. Jacob Sani, NTA News.
The call for the restructuring of the Nigerian system of governance has again been re-echoed. This time, it is from the leadership of the Arewa Consultative Forum during an event organized in honor of Wazir Nduze, who is also the Chairman Board of Trustees of the Arewa Consultative Forum. Bashir Dalhatu. Let's hear now from Aminu Umar.
Arewa Consultative Forum is an umbrella body that speaks and strives to defend the interests of the people of the 19 northern states. Considering the wealth of experience of Wazir Nduze, the leadership of the forum find him worthy to be appointed as the Chairman Board of Trustees of the forum.
This is a great honor to all of us because he's an achiever, he's a person of integrity, and our prayers to him is may Allah guide him so that he will bring a positive change to northern Nigeria.
He's endowed, but he's humble, and he is open. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, ACF at this point in time, when the Arewa is being challenged, and there are so many Badagalas roaming around our life, could not get a better leadership than that of Alhaji Bashir Al-Hatu.
On the recent agitation for the restructuring of the nation's system of governance, the chairman said Northern Nigeria welcomes the idea.
We are ready to restructure. We will use restructuring this time to the benefit of Arewa and for the benefit of our own people. And we are going to come out of restructuring more strong and stronger than that we have ever been. And we are going to prove to the whole world that actually we have every reason to call for restructuring.
So my advice to the governors of Northern Nigeria, 19 of them, is to get their heads together and help the people. Make sure that your policies are consistent with progress and development of the people, not personal interest.
Speakers, including the Jigawa State Governor, Emir of Kanu, among other dignitaries from across the country, shower words of encomium on the new Board of Trustees chairman, describing him as humble, committed and selfless individual who is always ready to serve his people. In Kanu, Amin Umar, NTA News.
Time now to get the latest news from Lagos, and Adiola is set to guide us. Adiola.
Ruth. For there to be a robust national maritime and blue economy policy that will effectively regulate the sector, a viable legal framework must be created to help the country harness untapped potential in line with global best practices. These were the views of the leadership of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, as it records, near zero security issues in 2023. Amaka Owo reports that this was stated during an oversight visit by the House Committee on Marine Safety, Education and Administration.
You said blue economy.
This is the first encounter between the legislators and the leadership of the Nigerian Marine Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, since the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly in 2023. This meeting is to further strengthen the aspirations of the present administration in the creation of the marine and blue economy. Executive member of the Maritime Law Association and senior advocate of Nigeria advocates speedy passage of the Cabotage Amendment Bill 2003, review of other moribund clauses in existing acts such as the Fisheries Act to regulate poaching along the nation's waterways, suppression of piracy and other maritime offences, Borno Act 2009.
There seems to be certain lacuna on how to make this ministry legally viable. Hence, I'm advocating for a marine and blue economy policy.
Director General Nimasa Bashir Jamo said the agency contributed about 41.90 billion naira in 2023 to the federal government revenue base, among other economic contributions.
Nigeria is the leading country in the Gulf of Guinea, and we want to make sure that we do not only secure our own territorial waters, but we increase the issue of policing of our water to have Gulf of Guinea inclusive.
The leadership of the House Committee promised to play the required constitutional role in addressing loopholes in the existing framework for better economic benefits from the sector.
Whatever the agency needs to be provided for efficient delivery of the core mandate of the agency, the committee will not hesitate.
Marine and blue economy alone can fund the Nigerian budget. If we put our acts together, we will launch the bills to effect, to close the gap, so that the agency and the sector can be properly positioned to play its role.
Emphases were also made for the acquisition of a national shipping line for job opportunities in the sector. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
Now moving on to the customs. The Nigeria Customs Service says it is working with the Apex Bank and other financial authorities with the sole aim of solving the volatility issues surrounding the exchange. This assurance is coming on the heels of concerns expressed by freight forwarders that the unstable forex is affecting business planning. Michael Olaleya reports.
Trade, like any other universal venture, heavily depends on foreign exchange to thrive. And for domestic businesses to survive, especially in an import-dependent economy, accessibility and affordability of forex is key. The concern here revolves around the possibility of normalizing increasing prices of commodity, and this can only be determined by a stable foreign rates. At the port, for instance, the frequent adjustment of the import duty, business owners believe, is negating the federal government's quest to revive the economy.
Interbank exchange rate does not fluctuate every day. That stays for some time. So why don't you do this with exchange rate used in computing import duty? That is all we are asking them to do. So that when you want to go into any trade, you can do some study. How much it is the landing cost and know how much you are going to sell it upon landing, even the manufacturers.
While efforts are on to stimulate an increase in the volume of imports into the country, the federal government is mindful of the effect this could have on its maritime goal of establishing a one-stop shop for clearing of goods in the region. And efforts are on to solve the forex challenge.
One of the options that we have proposed and we are considering is the use of spot rates. Spot rates would be valid for a period of time. That period of time will be jointly agreed, consultation with stakeholders and the authorities of Central Bank and Nigeria Customs Service. So I just urge you to, we just urge all our stakeholders, our importers, our exporters, to exercise a little bit of patience, for them to know that we are as concerned as they are, and we are going to find out a better option.
Stakeholders say getting the issue resolved will be in the interest of the federal government and Nigerians at large. In Lagos, Michael Olaleya, NTA News.
And those are the reports from Lagos. The news button will now locate Asmau Habibu Shagari in Sokoto for the continuation of Nationwide after this break. To stay.
And welcome to Sokoto on Nationwide. The Kebbi State Fire Service has been revamped with refurbished fire-fighting vehicles. This is coming after 8 years of epileptic services. Correspondent Hassana Abubakar Koko has more.
Kebbi, the state capital of Kebbi State, has had a fair share of fire disasters, with an epileptic fire service coming to the rescue. In fact, there were instances where victims would call for help and get a late or no response from the fire service. Well, this is now in the past, as the Kebbi State government has refurbished 5 moribund fire service vehicles at the rate of 50 million naira. The Commissioner for Works, Alhaji Abdullahi Farouk Muslim, while handing over the refurbished vehicles to the State Fire Service in Kebbi, observed that firefighting vehicle had remained one of the greatest challenges of the ministry, as well as the State Fire Service, as they have been left unattended for years.
In Kebbi State, we are very lucky to have a performing governor. When he came, he promised that he is going to start work from day one.
The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Works, Saadu Musa Sakaba, recalled that the new brand of the refurbished vehicles now cost about 280 million naira, but with a token sum of 50 million naira for the repairs, 5 out of the 10 trucks are now ready for use.
Nobody knows the importance of a fire service vehicle. We have had series of fires, but only federal fire goes. And when you call them at times, they tell you there is no fire.
Hassan Abubakar Koko, NTA News.
A visit to the ancient city of Sokoto would be incomplete without spending some time at the Waziri Junaidu History and Culture Museum, a historical site that provides a platform for the preservation of societal values. From past, present, and future generations, the museum remains a rich heritage resource center for researchers, students, and scholars. Dalat Abdullahi tells us more.
Historical records indicate that efforts of the first Waziri of Sokoto, Waziri Junaidu, precipitated the subsequent establishment of the museum. Waziri Junaidu privately started the collection of manuscripts of the famous founders of Sokoto Caliphate and reserved them in a small collection of his private library at his residence around 1966. Established by Edict No. 3 of the Northwestern State in 1973, the museum has become a reservoir for collecting, preserving, and displaying of relics, artifacts, archives, and the manuscripts relating to the history of Sokoto people and the government. The 6-department museum is today one of the most important data banks and research centers in Nigeria, with more than 500,000 volumes of records, archival documents, photographs, artifacts, museum objects, Arabic manuscripts, and other treasured documents of historical importance. For many, a visit to the museum is not just eye-catching, but more of a journey into the past.
Whatever you find there is automatically and practically out of our own human, experiences and the production.
It's the largest reposition of Arabic manuscript in Nigeria.
The museum houses historical materials used by jihad leaders such as weapons, farming tools, ancestral flags, leatherworks, house utensils, archives, and library materials, including microfilmed photographed records of colonial masters, leaders of the First Republic, past presidents and military heads of state, governors, and the sultans, among others.
If you take the book of Noel Albab of Sheikh Usman Danfodio, it was specifically referring to Sokoto community, to Hausa community, how he met people, how their culture was, how they mix culture with religion.
The museum is, however, not without its peculiar challenges.
Preserving archives requires continuous, non-stop funding. The issue of staffing is also very, very important.
The state government will do all the necessary things to make sure that this history bureau to create a digitalization era.
In Sokoto, Dalhatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
And that's it from here. It's back to Ruth in Abuja for the continuation of the news.
Thank you very much, Asmao. In government's struggle to improve the livelihoods of citizenry, there's always a segment of society that considers itself as being neglected. I'm talking about persons with disabilities. Well, in Jigawa State, this session is about to change as Umar Namadi's inclusive governance puts welfare of persons with disabilities in the forefront. Mohammed Musa Askira reports.
Now, Nnamdi administration has promised to give equal opportunity to all segments of the society in Jigawa State, including persons living with disabilities and other vulnerable groups. Checks on the deliverance of this promise showed that the administration has since begun its implementation with the welfare of the persons living with disabilities and other vulnerable groups put in the forefront. Part of the delivering of that promise is justified by the payments of 10,000 naira monthly stipends to the members of the persons living with disabilities in the state. Persons living with disabilities have been part of the empowerment programs of the Jigawa state government since its inception in May 2023.
We will create a database for all the people with disability in Jigawa state. We will also create a database for all the orphans in Jigawa state. We will also create a database for all the aged in Jigawa state. These three categories of people, we will have a database so that it will be easier for us to extend any assistance to them at any point in time.
For the first time in their lives, 1,000 members of this group of people have been invited, while they were given 30,000 naira each to cushion the effects of hardship being experienced in the country.
This is the first of this kind. We thank this administration for this gesture.
The state government has reiterated commitments to provide level playing ground and opportunities for all citizens to realize their potentials. From Dutse, Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
All right, let's expand the discourse talking about inclusivity for persons with disabilities. And Dutse, we join our correspondent Musa Askira live now. Musa, you want to share with us, well, from your report we saw that the government is already making room for inclusivity for persons with disabilities in the state. But tell us more, how is the government of the state, bridging the gap for persons there?
Thank you, Ruth. Welcome to Dutse, the Jigawa State Capital. Talking about persons living with disability, the global statistics is showing that there is 1.3 billion people living with disabilities across the globe, which is 16% of the global population. And Nigeria has its own share of these. About 27 million people living with various forms of disability in Nigeria. And Jigawa, being one of the federating units in the country, has its own share also. Records available from the states is indicating that Jigawa has about 25% of its 7.6 million persons, living with disability. And the Joint National Association of Persons Living with Disability comprise of the blinds, the crippled, the lepers, the deaf, and of course albinos, forming this this percentage of the persons living with disability in Jigawa State. But critical among these people are about 34,000 that needs support to be able to live, better in the state. And the Jigawa State government is this time around taking a critical look at these segments of people to ensure that they are given that sense of belonging so that they will fend for themselves in the society. Recently, the Jigawa State governor decided to invite about 1,000 of these people, where they were invited together and given 30,000 naira each to go and assist themselves. For those who have business, will add to the capital they have to expand their businesses, and this is going to go a long way in comforting them, looking at the current economic situations in the country. Apart from that, the Jigawa State government is also working on data to be able to have a data of this kind of people, so that when there's any program that is targeting and supporting citizens, they will be part of it as well. For those who are critically in need of assistance from the government and any other members of the society, government has selected about 200 from each of the 27 local governments of Jigawa State to be supported with 10,000 naira monthly, and this is going to also help them a lot. These are some of the plans that the Jigawa State government has for these people. The chairman of this association in Jigawa State, Alhaji Adamu Shuaibu, is saying that way out for these people is for the state to ensure that the people or persons persons with disability law is fully implemented. But already the government is doing much in that area, because the effort is channeled towards ensure that these people are assisted in terms of education, in terms of poverty, in terms of ignorance. I mean, that is education, in terms of poverty and hunger as well. That is why anytime there's any program, the state government is ensuring that these people form the parts of these beneficiaries, so that they will continue to be assisted. So this is so much. I mean, there are so much to say about what the government has for them, but this is what we can.
I understand, Musa. Thank you so much. You've reeled out a lot that the state government is doing in terms of intervention and bridging the gap for inclusivity to thrive in the state. Well done. Quite commendable efforts by the state government to promote inclusivity for persons with disabilities. Thank you, Musa. And elsewhere, the State Association of the Deaf is appealing for the provision of sign language interpreters in critical settings such as hospitals, offices and television stations. Jonathan Omajali attended the inauguration of the new executives in Lokoja, where these concerns were voiced.
The inauguration of the new executive members of the Kogi State Association of the Deaf in Lokoja marks a pivotal moment. Having taken the oath of office, it is now time to embark on the mission of fostering an inclusive society where the deaf community is fully integrated, enjoying equality of opportunity and participation. One pressing issue raised by members was the absence of sign language interpreters in crucial settings such as hospitals, offices and television stations. Addressing this gap, they say, is paramount.
Most of our plan is that we want the government to make sure that there are deaf schools in Kogi State. We want information to reach us on television stations by during the news, for them having interpreters, in hospitals having interpreters, and most of the time parents may not be able to afford school fees and some other things, in which government needs to come in so that we can help most of our members who are still young. That person we want to go to the office, but we'll be waiting for an interpreter to come along. And sometimes if the interpreter did not have the time to go on that very day, it means that he's going to cancel his appointment.
For advise the other members to obey and respect the new school so that they will succeed together.
While the School of the Deaf at Zango has played a vital role in the education and training of deaf individuals, they expect increased government attention and investment in its facilities and programs.
It's solely responsibility of the Ministry of Education. But because we are talking about the deaf now, which is part of the things we handle in the Ministry of Women Affairs, that is why the two ministries must come together to do everything possible to meet the needs of the deaf in the state.
Kogi State Association of the Deaf is affiliated with the Nigerian National Association of the Deaf. In Lokoja, Jonathan Omajani, NTA News.
All right, let's head to Maiduguri to join Ladidi. She'll give us our next set of reports. Ladidi, it's your turn.
Thank you, Ruth, and welcome to Maiduguri. About 450 internally displaced households from Kaurmela and Dalori communities have been resettled in housing estate constructed by the Borno State government as part of continued effort at closing all formal and non-formal camps within Maiduguri, the state capital. Governor Babagana Umar Zulum inaugurated the project at Dalori community where the estate was built. Mohammed Goni reports.
The 500 houses estate at Dalori community of Kandiga local government area is to resettle 200 households living at Kaurmaila informal camp and 250 others within Dalori and surrounding communities. Borno State government has already closed down official camps within the metropolis since last year, and closure of Kaurmaila camp signal commencement of the exit of 3 unofficial camps in Maiduguri that include Medina 2 and Muna camps. The resettled returnees were excited, saying the resettlement has given them a new lease of life. Governor Zulum reiterated that resettlement of displaced communities is part of government's desire to return them to normal life. He used the opportunity to call on the citizenry to bear with the federal and state government, as the authorities at all levels are mindful of the hike in cost of living and making efforts to provide emergency relief and sustainable solutions.
We have provided all the social amenities needed, hospital is needed, provided, schools are provided. I think all is okay. Our aim is for them to earn their means of livelihood by themselves.
The governor also directed Kandiga Local Government Council to carry out necessary preparation towards resettlement of Dalwa and Sandia communities.
The Ministry of MRR, with your untiring support, has continued to work with relevant stakeholders to resettle our IDPs to their ancestral homes.
Kandiga Local Government Chairman Abbali Abari, who expressed commitment to the governor's resettlement drive, urged the returnees to be prayerful at all times. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
The education sector in Borno State is witnessing unprecedented transformations with massive deliveries of infrastructures, instructional materials, and recruitment of teachers, among other post-insurgency revolutionary measures pursued by the present government of Governor Babagana Mirasalim. The State Commissioner of Education, Long Abo Kebbi, has been crisscrossing educational facilities in the state for the on-spot assessment. Pauline Kujafana reports.
Eager to establishing 10 additional government secondary schools in the Biu zone by Borno State Government, Commissioner of Education, Science, Technology and Innovation, Lawan Abawa Kilby, embarked on a tour to supervise schools and monitor projects. The Commissioner commenced the inspection at Government Girls Senior Science Secondary School Biu, where he reviewed the renovation project funded by the Borno State Adolescent Girls Initiative for Learning and Empowerment, Agile's School Improvement Grant, SIG. He instructed the enhancement of computer facilities and the implementation of entrepreneurship courses such as tailoring, fisheries and gardening, among others, to enrich the learning experience. The Commissioner also inspected ongoing secondary school construction project in Kwayabura, Hawu local government area, before proceeding to Bila Kutiki Islamic College and Minidi Kutiki Primary School, Kwayakusar, as well as Vocational Enterprise Institute, Government Secondary School, Gasi, and Bargu Primary and Junior Day Secondary School, all in Shani. The Commissioner also inspected the Vocational Enterprise Institute in Biu before proceeding to Government Secondary Schools, Sakwa, Marama, Shafa, and Kwajafa, all in our local government area, where he promised the communities that measures will be put in place for the restoration of boarding facilities to ease students trekking long distances to school.
Before next year, we are going to reinstate the boarding school back to this place.
He commended contractors for timely delivery and qualitative work done, amidst some observations for corrective measures. Through the Commissioner's strategic tours and inspections of schools and projects across local government areas in Borno, he is actively identifying areas in need of urgent intervention by the state government. In Maiduguri, Pauline Kujevana, NTA News.
Those are the trending stories from here for now. Nationwide continues with Ruth in Abuja. Ruth, is back to you.
Welcome back. The Calabar-Itu Federal Highway is among the key federal roads given attention by the Tinubu-led administration, and as such, agencies responsible for its completion are leaving nothing to chance. At the moment, we're hearing fresh facts are emerging on the speedy completion of the Akwa Ibom state section of the Calabar-Itu Federal Road project. Clement Barrique reports that access to right-of-way by the contractors stalled progress of work on the road. But the Akwa Ibom state government is in the process of making this achievable.
The Calabar-Itu Highway project is among projects dear to the federal government and residents of Cross River and Akwa Ibom states. This explains why the previous federal administration had to raise funds from different sources, including the Sukuk bond, to finance a substantial part of the road project.
I will ask the government to come in as fast and as soon as possible.
Unlike this side, in the short while they will bring a stone base, laterite, and to patch the road. At least some amendment work should be done.
The people that work it, they try enough. The road was very, very bad, and we thank God for the government that's looking to the road.
Out of the 38-kilometer stretch of the Akwa Ibom section of the road, only 6 kilometers have been completed. This initial delay was caused by compensation issues.
Well, all I can say is that we have gone past the worst times. The worst times are over, so they should just be patient with us.
With the state now partnering the federal government through the provision of right-of-way, the road users are hopeful that their years of waiting will soon end. Clement Barikui, NTA News.
Clearly, you know now that the Calabar-Itu Federal Highway is very significant for residents of Uyo. We join our correspondent Clement Barikui live now. Clement, I'm sure you have the latest update, so please tell us.
I actually have the latest update on the project. The update that we have has to do with the partnership of the state government with the Tinubu-led administration to ensure that this project is delivered to our Akwa people. Now, initially, the state government had not given right of way to the contractors so that they can be able to deliver this project. The previous administration under former President Buhari had earlier directed that state government should provide lands for development purposes. An aspect of road construction, provision of the right of way in the form of payment of compensation to landowners and property owners form part of that policy. And so since then, the state government didn't do anything like that. That is what actually stalled the road work on this. As we speak now, the state government has accepted that they will provide the right of way so that the contractors can work as soon as possible. One of the things that the state government has done to this aspect in this regard is the commissioning of some valuers. As we speak, valuers have started work on the road, assessing the properties, assessing the various lands, various properties and various owners to see how they can compensate them. Because compensation has been the major issue on this Calabar-Itu highway, and that has contractors to slow the level of work that has been going on here. Since then, work has been very the contractors were not able to do what they were supposed to do. But we believe that with this that the state government has done, work will commence in earnest.
Right. Thank you very much, Clement, for that insight there. Thank you. In summary, what he's trying to say, compensation is ongoing and the state government, talking about Akwa Ibom, has intervened. So work will commence in earnest. We'll move on to other issues. The Deputy Governor of Edo State, Philip Shaibu, says he is the authentic governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the forthcoming September 21, 2024 election. At a media briefing in Abuja, the Deputy Governor also alleged a fresh plot to impeach him from office. Well, Timothy Yusuf will tell us more.
The Edo State Deputy Governor, Philip Shaibu, said this media briefing followed his emergence as the factional candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the September 21 governorship election. Although the returning officer in the PDP governorship primary election and governor of Zamfara State, Dauda Lawal, had last Thursday announced Asue Godalo as the winner of the delegate election, having polled a total of 577 votes. However, in the parallel primary that took place at the Benin residence of the deputy governor, he disclosed that he had the authentic delegates with him, advising the party's National Working Committee to recognize him or they go to court for proof.
And that is why I'm appealing to the party to just agree with the authentic delegate. So it's not something of contestation. You cannot disenfranchise 381. And electoral law forbids exclusion. An election can be reordered because of exclusion. It's a major sin that the electoral law forbids.
On whether the Independent National Electoral Commission and the party's representatives monitored the primary election that produced him, Shaibu spoke affirmatively without going into details, emphasizing that he would speak to the issue at the appropriate time. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
In a bid to meet the needs of society and align with digital and competitive learning, educationists have met in Abuja to review and design a new curriculum on reproductive health for undergraduates and postgraduates in medical colleges. The event is organized by the National Universities Commission in collaboration with stakeholders in the education and health sectors, creating awareness to achieve this purpose. Christina Akonde reports.
Usually, an average lifespan of a curriculum is 5 years. However, this is based on continuous review. Stakeholders in the education and health sector say the advocacy is to prevent the menace of underprofessionalism in the health sector, especially on issues relating to reproduction, maternal and childbirth.
Most of the components that are currently in our reproductive health surround just what I would call the treatment of conditions that lead to death, rather than its prevention. We believe that before a woman comes to the hospital and is being treated in the hospital, a lot of problems will have occurred. And it is important that our training curriculum, undergraduate and postgraduate curriculum, are designed in such a way that students are made to be aware of the ways to prevent these issues from occurring that lead to death.
An educated approach should be used in developing curriculum rather than just using a uniform approach. And then that training should not just be done in the hospitals.
With Nigerian having highest rate in maternal death, this advocacy becomes strategic to improving the competency of healthcare providers through up-to-date curriculum. In Abuja, Christina Akonde, NTA News.
And next is sports update. And we're done. Thank you for your company. Do have a beautiful evening. I'm Ruth Aguele.